So not necessarily all workplaces have that culture. What would you say to foundations, to leaders in foundations who are hearing that their staff doesn't feel how you just described, that their staff might be feeling marginalized internally, unable or shut down when they're trying to move a racial justice or gender justice or environmental justice, right, agenda? Can you talk a little bit more about how...
What I would say?
What would you say? How would, like...
I would say get over yourself.
Yeah.
People, because that's a big question. And this is something I've grappled with a lot in coming at, being an organizer and then coming into philanthropy. Being in a situation where you are just in the midst of resources. I mean, organizing is resource deprived, especially racial justice and economic justice organizing is just deprived of resources. So to go from that space where I'm making copies at Staples out of my own pocket, hoping I get reimbursed, or where my former employer was like, you know what, we're sorry that your check is late. Here's a little bit towards it because we know you have bills to pay, but this is the situation. And I was lucky because I had a savings, right? Yeah. But there's a lot of organizers out there that are supplementing their own job through their credit, that are putting down their credit cards to pay for stuff because it needs to happen in real time. So to come from something that it's as chaotic as that sometimes, and then to come to a place where I don't have to worry about buying coffee in the morning because it's right there. There's a Keurig, beautiful Keurig right there, and I can have all the coffee I want. Or I don't have to go to Staples. I go to a supply room, not even a closet. I can go to a supply room. Little things like that will be a trip. Or I was talking to my director about the first meeting I went to as a program officer. We're eating off of China, and we're not eating cold pizza. We are eating salmon and broccoli and spinach salad. It's a head trip that the little things you notice when you come from the field and then come into this space, and you're coming into this space where some people have just been in situations of a lot of resources and a lot of privilege their entire life. And so they don't witness what that transition can be for you, or how, what that means for your point of view, not just in the work, but in how your institutions operate. Even this conference is awesome, but it took a lot of money to make this conference happen, where we have sit-down dinners and we're having sit-down breakfast and so on and so forth, and, in a great hotel. It's as an organizer, you don't really have access to that unless a funder is paying for you to go. So privilege and resource, it's a trip. It's a real head trip. And I think Nat Williams last night in his acceptance speech at the AFI Awards dinner said that this sector, meaning philanthropy, can massage some of the blackness basically out of you, because you're in a space where we're the good guys. We're the good guys. We can talk about race later, but we're not white supremacists. Or that's not something we really need to acknowledge. And so getting back to your original question, what I would say to people in power in these institutions that are hearing from their staff, that are brave enough to tell them, because that puts their job on the line in some places, that are brave enough to tell them that they do not feel acknowledged, that they don't feel that they can bring their whole selves to the work. And some of them are people of color working on a racial justice portfolio and still can't feel like they can bring their whole selves to the work. That is an injustice. Yeah. That is a hypocrisy. People that are in power in these philanthropic institutions need to not just look at intersectionality on the outside, and not just look at what inclusion looks like or what equity looks like on the outside. What does it look like for your staff? Yeah. What does it look like for upward mobility? What voices are you lifting up in those boardrooms? What program officers are you listening to? How are you delegating funds to people that reflects equity that you're talking about out there? And there's a lot of messy business, Like, we got to some of it with some of the panels with movement people on it. Philanthropy really needs to check itself.
Mm-hmm.